Hi, everyone. Venus here with another episode of NYCRA Live. Today is really exciting. At least for me, it is. We have a really cool guest with us today. His name is Cedric Clark from MJ Unpacked. Last year, I went to MJ for the first time and I was so green eyed and excited to be here. So, this is like amazing for me to be interviewing someone from the actual event, one of the biggest conference, expos. It's so much more. It's everything all in one. So I'm really excited for him to really give you all the details. So with us today, we have Cedric Clark from MJ Unpacked, and we're really excited to have you here today to share with us all the details and all the exciting new things coming up this year. So without further ado, I'm going to let you get to it. And
Thank you so much,
have
Venus.
a
I
good,
appreciate
big
you inviting me on
conversation.
today, and Jason, and all the work that we've got to do with NYCRA since back when they had another name. We were working
Yeah.
with them back then too, and they've always been big supporters of our event, and we appreciate what NYCRA is doing for all of its members.
Thank
And
you.
before I get into MJ Unpacked, I just want to reveal a little bit about myself because I actually come from the retail background myself. Although now I'm the national sales manager for MJ Unpacked, as well as many other hats that I wear throughout the day. Before this, I was a retailer myself. I was in retail for over 20 years, not in cannabis. I was selling different herbs like ginkgo and echinacea, but I had one of the largest natural food stores in Northeastern Ohio. And one of the things that helped me grow my business to where I did was attending both local and national trade events. Because no matter what we do, I mean, thank you for watching this Zoom or this video that we're doing here. Thank you for doing the emails and all the other communication. But I think everybody can agree there's nothing like face to face. That's what humans are wired for. And that's why I'm such a big believer in trade events all around. And I know there's some great local trade events that happen in New York. I see a lot of them. We've even, I think, sponsored one of them. But what I also know is you get in a bubble when you're going to local trade events consistently. And I'm speaking specifically of B2B, not necessarily B2C events. That's a whole nother conversation. But with B2B events, it is something that you want to make sure you're attending local and at least one, or if you have the budget to, several national events a year. And the reason it's so important to attend national events is we get into a silo, especially in cannabis, probably in cannabis more than about any industry I've seen because it's different state by state. So a lot of times when you go to these national events and you meet people from California, you meet people from Oregon, you meet people from Washington who are all signed up for our event now. We have exhibitors and attendees from all three of those states in the West. But we also have a lot from New Jersey, from New England coming that will all be able to share their knowledge, what they've learned with the different challenges. And some of those may reveal solutions to your challenges too. So that's why I'm such a big believer, not only in the knowledge share that we get, but also with that face-to-face and that trust that can be built when it comes to the actual face-to-face interaction. And just so everybody knows, our event is coming up April 9th, 10th, and 11th. And that is going to be at the Hard Rock Hotel in Atlantic City. One of the great things about us being able to do it in Atlantic City is the hotel rooms are a lot cheaper than they were when we were in Manhattan. Hotel rooms now are $89, and you can go to mjunpack.com and you'll find our room blocks. Also, all the different ways that you can travel to Atlantic City from New York City or from the state. I'm not a New Yorker. I'm not from New Jersey, but fortunately, one of our co-founders, Kim Jage, is from both. So she knew all the different ways to travel back and forth, and we made sure that you'll have that on our website along with the hotel room blocks for the 9th, 10th, and 11th. Go ahead. Yes. So what is MJ Unpacked? I know what we are. I'm not going to read the slide. You may read the slide because you'll get some different information. But what I like to let people know about our event is we are the first and only national cannabis event exclusively for licensed THC operators with the title manager or above and accredited investors actively investing in the space. So what that means is if you are a owner, a founder, a CEO of your company, these are your peers that are going to be at this event. These are people who you can speak the same language with. They know where you're coming from. They're not people who are just looking to get into the industry. They're people who have experience and also that have licenses. Now, one of the things about MJ Unpacked, there's a lot of ways to stand out at our event. You will find different networking events throughout MJ Unpacked, and I recommend you go again to our website, which has our full agenda there. I'm going to mention today, as we're talking, some of the different workshops that we're having for the event, but everything will be listed there. Not only that, you can start to make your schedule. One thing I always do before I go to events is I try to figure out, okay, can I get to these speakers? Because we have a lot of speakers at this upcoming event. But one of the things that we do differently than everybody else out there is our event and how we qualify our speakers is not as a pay-to-play stage. We're not an event where somebody sponsors and yeah, you get a place up on the stage to speak. We have a committee, conference committee, not only in brand and retail, but in several different categories that help to guide us with the pain points that you all are facing out there. And we look for other operators who have overcome those challenges. So that's one thing that you're going to see not only on the floor at MJ Unpacked, you're going to see all types of your peers, people who are in the industry making moves, but you're also going to see on the stage speakers who have been in the trenches, speakers who have actually had licensed THC operations and the challenges from small to large. A lot of people ask me, who comes to MJ Unpacked? Is this something that is just for New Jersey? Since you're in New Jersey now, you know, we're in New York. Why aren't you here? We're a national event. We're not necessarily a regional event. And you can see this with the demographics from some of our most recent shows. In New York in 2023, and I'm going to need to adjust this a little bit, looks like 63% of our attendees were from the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast region. So these are people who are a lot of times facing some of the same challenges you are in if you're a cultivator in the cultivation world, facing some of the same challenges as far as product, competition, things like that. But you also notice that we have attendees from all over the country. And again, they can bring that wisdom and some of the skin knees and heartaches that they've had from building an industry in their state. And who is attending is going to be retailers and verticals, 53%. So back to what I was saying earlier about your peers being there. And the reason why is we have more retailers at our event, percentage-wise, than any other event can, because we qualify our audience. And I apologize if you're somebody who's applied and had to go through several steps to make sure that you end up getting into MJ Unpacked. That's because we have a human that checks each one of those along the way to make sure that you are a qualified attendee and that you're in there with your peers. This is just a few quotes from some of our past exhibitors. And one of the things that I can say, for example, with Cosmic Brands, they're a brand that came to our event and literally were able to get deals on the floor. So this is something that when you are a retailer, you want to be able to meet with people who can make decisions. Otherwise, you've got to do the follow-up, you've got to take the notes, then you've got to send an email to this person to get connected to the next person. This is where you can actually meet your peers to get business done. Beyond that, at MJ Unpacked, the educational conferencing is going to be greater than you've ever seen. If you were at New York last year, you maybe went to some of our conference sessions and they were really focused around brand and retail. But this year, what we're doing is we're bringing in additional speakers specifically on investment and finance. Entire 2 days tracks of investment and finance speakers, 2-day speaker tracks with cultivation experts, and 2-day cultivation tracks with science, research, and development. With those, you can definitely find a speaker that fits into what you're personally interested in. That's Vice President of Sales, myself, Zed Clark. You can go ahead and take down my information if you have any questions. As I said, I'm the National Sales Manager. I work on the sales side for our exhibitors and sponsors, but I wear many hats, and I'm here to help you, whether you're an attendee, an exhibitor, a sponsor, or just want to get more information about our show. Feel free to reach out to me, even via cell phone.
Thank you. That was great. Great overview of the conference and what to expect. I'm really excited to go. You know, NYCRA's going to be there as a team. And I was listening, like, you know, I like to take notes when I do these things of things that jump out at me. And I really like how you said that there's an actual human that vets the applications, and it's not just like some algorithm in a computer program. Because yeah, it's great to know that the time people will take to go is going to be like maximized, that you can actually meet people, like you said, on the floor. It's not this step to this step to get to the person. Could you share any highlights with us of anyone in particular? That I'm sure you're excited about everyone that's going to be there, but is there anyone you could share with us of your guest?
Well, I do have to be cautious and make sure I don't tip the hat on anybody who maybe isn't listed on our website yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Before I just say some of the speakers and bite my tongue on that, let me go ahead and see the ones that we have actually listed on our site for sure. And again, just so everybody knows, they can go to mjunpacked.com. The other thing that I really wanted to stress is there are special rates for NYCRA members. Yes. And those NYCRA members can go to the New York Cannabis Retail Association.org, the New York Cannabis Retail Association.org. Yep. And on there, there's an event page. So if you click on that event page, it's going to have about local events. It's going to have national events up there. So I encourage everybody to register through that site. That way too, Jason and NYCRA knows that you're part of the team. You're all going in the same direction. And also for us, we can give your group kudos for bringing more wonderful attendees to the event. And one of the things, I guess, before I get into anything specific about like who's going to be there and some of those questions, I do want to emphasize something that I heard our co-founder George J. say in an article they wrote recently on LinkedIn. And I hadn't realized why I liked trade events so much. When I was a retailer, I would go to practically every local B2B event I could, or regional, and then at least one. And as my budget grew, I went to two. Really, there weren't much more than two really good national events in natural health. But one of the things that really came across to me that he said was, trade events are like camp for adults. It's like summer camp for adults.
Yeah.
We make new friends, we make new connections. Some of them we don't remember by the time we left. Some of them become business partners.
Yeah.
And that's what I also wanted to stress, since we've got probably a number of attendees who may be listening to this and people who are deciding if they should attend. How can I create value? It's going to cost me $500. What else could I do with that $500? Make sure that when you come to our event that you're doing your follow-up afterwards. Because one of the things that happens at these B2B trade events is 80% of the people don't follow up. Yeah. And it breaks our hearts as producers when we know that there's all that networking sitting on the table that didn't get done. So definitely there's tips and tricks that you can do when you're at an event to make sure that you have the business cards, you know, keep them in your little plastic sleeve and your name tag, or put your cards in one pocket, the other cards in the other pocket. But it's not just about gathering the cards. It's about setting aside an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at the end of the event. Or what I do is I set aside an hour either at the end of the day or first thing in the morning, whichever I can squeeze it in there, to go through everybody that I've connected with that day. That's a really easy way for us to keep focused on who we need to connect with, and that we weren't doing all that work in vain.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. I actually had created a Google Drive list of people. I mean, it's gotten so big now, but when I started going into the spaces so that I could keep track of things. So, yeah, this is all good advice on how to move when you go, because it could get overwhelming when you meet so many people and you go home with so many cards. But yeah, just like said, it's so good to follow up because you never know who you're meeting at these events. You never know what could come of that connection. So yeah, thank
So
you
yeah,
again.
back to your question about
Mhm.
the about who's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be speaking at the event that I'm excited about. There's a number of them I'm excited about, but even the biggest thing that excites me is who you see on our stage. Our stage aren't a lot of people that look like me. Our stage is a majority women because our company is a majority women.
Amazing.
And also, I'm not saying this just because it's International Women's Month. I'm saying this because women get shit done. I mean,
We
I
do.
see Brittany in your organization. I see her everywhere. I know that things get done. I know you're
Yes, she
sitting
gets
here with
things
me.
done, man.
So
Do it.
we have a lot of female speakers this round. One that I'm a little bit partial to is Jenny Argy from Jenny Loves Me.
Yeah.
She's been one of our exhibitors since the very beginning. She's been a sponsor. She has been
Hmm.
a great advocate for us out there in the streets, not only in New York, but beyond. And I'm really excited to hear her experience and what she went through earlier this year or last
Right.
year, I guess it was. I won't get into
Right.
that. I'll let her
Yeah.
go ahead and tell you
Yeah.
about that when she's on the stage. But super fascinating. I get to have a little bit of a backside peek with that. Another speaker that I'm really excited about is Mary Ann Kirsty. She's the CEO at Alibi Cannabis. She is
Okay.
a master cultivator.
Mm,
And she's going to
nice.
be on the stage in some of those new segments I mentioned to you. And just so you know, all four of those tracks might be a little bit of a challenge some days because they're running concurrently.
Oh, okay.
So we're doing the cultivation at the same time as brand and retail. So that's why I tell you too, look at what's going on because you don't
Yeah,
want
that
to
was
get
a good
like,
tip.
oh, and miss your favorite speaker. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm super excited for Marianne to be there. And then there's another one that I wanted to share here real quick. Wanted to make sure they were announced already. Is Luna Stour. I don't know if you know Luna, but
I
she is from
don't.
iSpire. She
Oh,
is
okay. I
a
know the company.
powerhouse. She is one that basically people will be going to an event sometimes just to see her, talk to her, meet her.
That's
And
cool.
iSpire is one of the largest vape
Yeah.
companies. They provide a lot of the hardware
Yeah.
for maybe even some of the companies that are right there in New York State.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the company. I actually met Jenny last year at MJ. When you brought her up, I was like, yeah, that's where I met her. And now we're friends.
Yeah, she's going to have a great little selfie station. She's bringing in
Nice.
some other brands in New Jersey that she's partnering with that I'm really excited for. I won't get into details there with it and spoil her thunder with it, but just keep an
Yeah.
eye on LinkedIn coming up and you'll see more and more about what we're releasing
Amazing.
for the event on the 9th.
Amazing. Well, I love that you said that there's a lot of women on the stage because, it's Women's Month, like you said, and we don't get as many opportunities to be on stage all the time, so that's important. And is there anything else that MJ Unpacked does to ensure that there's diversity in the events? Anything like that? I mean, you mentioned giving discounts to NYCRA previous card members, but is there anything else that you all do?
Yeah, absolutely. We do, not only do we do social impact and social equity pricing for our registration, and you'll find that on our website, but the bigger thing is that we do social equity sponsorship. And we've actually sponsored Last Prisoners Project. Oops, there we go. One of the groups that we've worked with quite a bit. The other group, we worked with M4MM in the past. We've also worked with Our Dream, Our Academy. And between the groups we've worked with, we've managed to raise about 185,000 so far for those who have been impacted by the war on drugs with our social impact and social equity donations, scholarships, sponsorships. So that's one thing that we do. And that is on LinkedIn right now. So if you are a brand, a retailer looking to exhibit, you're ready to exhibit, you're just being held back by the funds, make sure you apply for those scholarships because they are going quickly because we're getting a lot of applicants in for them. But that is another way. And again, that's on LinkedIn, or you can also go to our website at mjunpacked.com to apply for a social impact, social equity scholarship there.
Amazing. That's wonderful. I
And
really
we
hope.
also look at that for our stage. Back to my point being, like, a lot of the people don't look like me on stage. One of the things, we make sure we have a large representation of Black and brown people on our stage, because that is really what has driven this industry. This is something I've never talked about before on camera, I don't think. But one of the things that you look at, if you look at what's moved cannabis forward, you've got to look at hip hop. I mean, nothing
Absolutely.
has helped to make cannabis a little. I didn't know if I should wear my Wu-Tang hat tonight, you know, because that's a big part of my background. We actually had Ghostface Killah at our show
Okay.
last year. Yeah, what a great
Nice.
treat. But my point being, we want people up on the stage that represent the entire dichotomy of who's out there. The reason why, we all need inspiration. We need somebody that looks like me up there on stage and said, yes, I've done it. You can do it too, because a lot of times we're held back by that. I might just be held back by, oh, I got a gap in my teeth, you know, so people are going to end up looking at me different because I don't have perfect teeth like everybody else, you know. But we all, if you see somebody like that, that looks like you, that sounds like you, or it's been through your own personal challenges, that is going to inspire you. And that's what makes these conferences really worth spending a few extra dollars to make sure you get that conference upgrade pass to see. And those people will be your friends after the event. These aren't rock stars. These aren't people we're putting in a green room and sending in a bus, you know. These are people who are just like you and me, and they want to share that information, especially if it's somebody that, again, looks like them. You know, women tend to do a really good job at our event supporting other women. Yeah. New business owners do a good job supporting other business owners. But because we mix it all up, everybody starts to support everybody. And there's not, again, these silos that, well, this is a women's event, you know, this is a BIPOC event, this is a corporate event. You know, the only thing, we want everybody at the table, but we want everybody to be qualified as a licensed THC operator. We won't turn away anybody unless they're a jerk, you know. We don't necessarily allow jerks at our show. We actually use the term asshole, but we don't necessarily let assholes at our show. And that's part of the reason that we can have a great show too. We basically create a nice safe space for everybody to be able to have these conversations.
That's wonderful. I really appreciate that as a minority woman. You said something about the silo, and I just remembered I wrote that down. Like, yeah, that was a really good point, that it becomes a bubble in your local area when you're doing the networking. And as amazing as it is to see your friends and see everyone, you're seeing each other. So when we get to do a national thing, even just going to New Jersey, for us, it's like spreading your wings, getting out there, meeting new people, and putting yourself out there so they meet you. So I thought that was a really good point for people to keep that in mind, that, you know, it's good to invest in yourself in that way and expand.
Absolutely. And the other piece of that is looking at who exhibits. So we talked a lot about the conference piece, but we have a whole exhibit floor.
Yeah,
we have a brand experience
absolutely.
hall that's got the lab where we have different science groups. Orange Photonics, I know, I just put in there recently, which they have this cool little orange suitcase that you can test cannabis with before you send it off to get tested. So it can save you a lot of money in the long run. We've got a cultivation lounge where we got companies like Pip, or a cultivation area with a lounge. We call it the garden. And in the garden, we've got companies like Pip Horticulture, TRS Grows. And I know there are people who are cultivators in New York, you know, so definitely they're going to want to come and see who's there. But the best is we have our brand experience hall. The brand experience hall piece we call Brand Central, where all the retailers and the brands are. And this is where you can see brands from New York. You know, I mentioned there's going to be New York brands, but from all over the country. And as a retailer in New York, you might be saying, well, why in the hell do I want to go there? I can't buy those products anyway. Yeah, but you'd be surprised at the power that you have as retailers to get products that you want in your area. Why do you think there's all these verticals and MSOs out there? Yeah, they know that, and they try to do it themselves, but the reality is retailers are very powerful. Another personal part that I haven't shared with you, I was actually the executive director of a group like what you do on a national level for independent food stores.
Okay.
We were called INFRA, the Independent Natural Food Retailers Association. My point with that being, though, the power that we had as a buying group and as an organization to influence the market was amazing. So just NYCRA being at our event and being able to influence the market with your voices as the organization. But I'll tell you what's going to impact it more if the members are there. Because you can have one or two people standing in a booth, but if you have a brand that's over here and 15, 20, 25 NYCRA members are over there talking to them one after one, and they were wondering if they should go into New York, I think you're going to help them make a decision. So I think that that's something that I never want to underestimate, that even though an organization or a group is there, what makes it strong is its members being there.
Yeah. Like you said, real people. And that's the point where, so remember, go to our website, NYCRA.org, the events tab, get your ticket. Don't miss out. It's not that far. Atlantic City's fun. If you've never been there, come and join MJ Unpacked. Maybe you'll see Zach on the floor. Zed, I'm so sorry, on the floor, and you could say hello, or you could see me, or go to the NYCRA booth and learn all about everyone that's going to be there. It sounds like it's going to be another amazing event.
Have you ever been to the Hard Rock Hotel there before, Venus?
No, I have not there. I haven't.
Holy cow. I was blown away. I basically came up, well, I won't go there, but anyway, I've stayed at some hotels that weren't always impressive. This place, I could not believe I was in Atlantic City. The way that I thought I was in Las Vegas, and not only in Las Vegas, I'm from Ohio, and we've got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? This is like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ends up meeting a casino and the whole Hard Rock vibe. Like they had one of James Brown. I didn't know James Brown was so short, but they had one of James Brown's outfits up there. They had one of Frank Sinatra's outfits up there. They had vintage cars from different artists and things like that. And where our event is going to be held is actually in the arena where they do all the rock shows and things there.
Oh, fun.
So it's going to be a great venue. If people like to gamble, it's also a casino, happens to be there. And one thing I hadn't mentioned yet is definitely you're going to want to be there on the 10th, which is the night of our after party.
Oh,
okay. So we're going to be doing an official after party sponsored by, or not sponsored by, but rather produced by Fairchild Events. Actually, we have a number of different sponsors that are going to be there. Our key sponsor is Nova Farms. They're a multi-state dispensary, but they also do manufacturing, and they're coming to New Jersey, and they know how to throw a party. So between them and Fairchild, it's going to be even better than the mixtape party was last year that they did.
Okay.
So it's going to be just a few steps from the casino where we're staying. It's not in a casino because of we got to do that somewhere else.
And that's important.
So that's why we're going just down the street to do our after party.
Sounds good. I can't wait. Yeah. It's coming up soon. So,
April 9th and 11th.
Don't forget. Don't miss out. You definitely don't want to be having the FOMO hearing afterwards all about it, and you could have went. So again, thank you so much for being with us, Cedric. This was really great. So much good information and good tips on how to move around in the space. So I look forward to finding you and meeting you in person when we're there. So you have a great rest of your day. And everyone, again, thank you for being with us on NYCRA Live. And look out for our next episode. See who we have with us.
And can I do one last plug for Jason? The New York Cannabis Retail Association.org. Go there and then go to their events page to register for our event. So the New York Cannabis Retail, I love how you put it right there at the bottom. They can't miss it. So, and I'm sure that it's probably bookmarked on half your members' computers, hopefully.
I hope so. So don't forget, we want to see all of you there. Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate you.